Maria and Alexei have been married for 7 years. Their marriage seemed ideal from the outside. Alexei's successful career, a cozy home, 2 children. But behind this facade, there were problems that increasingly alienated them from each other. Maria began to feel that she lacked attention and understanding from her husband. At this time, a new employee appeared at her work, Ivan. He was charming, attentive, and immediately began to pay a lot of attention to Maria. At first they just talked, had lunch together, and then their meetings became more personal. Maria felt drawn to Ivan, and soon they became lovers. Alexei began to notice that something was wrong. Maria became more distant, often stayed late at work, and the smiles and joy with which she had previously filled the house disappeared. Alexei's suspicions grew, and he decided to hire a private detective to find out the truth. When Alexei suspected that Maria was cheating on him, he decided to turn to a private detective named Dmitry. Dmitry was an experienced specialist who had been investigating similar cases for many years. He understood how important it was for Alexei to obtain irrefutable evidence, and began to work with full responsibility. First of all, Dmitry established surveillance of Maria. He followed her movements, recorded who and where she met. He found that Maria often spends time with Ivan, especially after work. They had lunch together in a cafe, sometimes went to the cinema and walked in the parks. Dmitry took many photographs in which Maria and Ivan were together, which in itself spoke of some kind of personal relationship between them. Next, the detective decided to check Maria's phone. Using his contacts, he gained access to the details of her calls and messages. This gave him the opportunity to find out that Maria and Ivan communicated almost every day, often texting late at night. Dmitry installed special software that helped him copy all Maria's messages and calls. One day, Dmitry saw that Maria and Ivan had booked a hotel room. He installed hidden cameras in the room in advance to record everything that was happening. This was the most risky part of the operation, since everything had to be done unnoticed. The cameras were placed in such places as to cover the entire room, but remained undetected. When Maria and Ivan arrived at the hotel, Dmitry was watching them from a nearby building, monitoring images from cameras in real time. This allowed him to record all their actions, including intimate moments, which became the final proof of infidelity. After that, Dmitry collected all the materials, photographs, messages, videos, and call details. He carefully organized it all into a folder and prepared a report for Alexei. When Alexei received all the evidence, he realized that Dmitry had done a great job and provided him with everything he needed to make decisions. Alexei thanked the detective for his professionalism and paid for his services. Having received this evidence, Alexei met with Maria and Ivan to show them the whole truth. From that moment on, dramatic changes began in their lives. If you liked this story and want more like it, visit our site here. You can also use the coloring book ideas generator to spend your creative time. After Alexei received all the evidence of Maria's betrayal, he felt angry and disappointed. However, instead of immediately causing a scandal, he decided to act calmly and thoughtfully in order to cause maximum damage not only to Maria, but also to her lover Ivan. Alexei carefully prepared a plan for revenge. He began by collecting all the documents received from Detective Dmitry and creating several copies. He decided to use this evidence to destroy the lives of Maria and Ivan on all fronts. Alexei invited Maria and Ivan to a joint dinner at their favorite restaurant under the pretext of discussing important matters. When they all gathered at the table, Alexei took out a folder with evidence of treason and placed it in front of them. "Maria, Ivan, I know about your affair," Alexei said calmly. "I would like you both to look at this evidence and understand that there will be consequences for your actions." Maria turned pale, and Ivan looked confused. Alexei continued, "Tomorrow I will show this evidence to all our friends and colleagues. You will become the subject of discussion and condemnation. Let's see how you handle this." Alexei knew that Ivan valued his career most of all. He collected all the evidence and sent it in an anonymous letter to the management of the company where Ivan worked, He also sent copies to Ivan's colleagues, adding that such a person is not trustworthy and should not work in their company. Soon after this, Ivan was called on the carpet and fired for violating the company's ethical standards. His reputation was destroyed, and finding a new job became extremely difficult. Alexei decided that Maria should feel what it means to be lonely and betrayed. He began spreading information about her infidelity among their mutual friends and family. Many turned their backs on her, and those who remained could not support her as before. After Alexei learned about Maria's betrayal, he decided that not only emotional but also financial revenge would be part of his plan. To do this, he carefully prepared and turned to experienced lawyers who helped him realize his plans. Alexei began by collecting all possible financial information. He gained access to all bank accounts, credit cards, investments, and property that he and Maria owned together. He made sure he had a complete understanding of all the family's assets and liabilities. Alexei found the best lawyers specializing in divorce proceedings and protection of property interests. Together with them, he developed a strategy that would allow him to retain the maximum amount of assets and minimize financial support from Maria after the divorce. Alexei filed for divorce, citing betrayal of Maria as the basis. In some jurisdictions, adultery is a significant factor in the division of property and the award of alimony. Alexei and his lawyers tried to use this circumstance to their advantage. Before the divorce proceedings began, Alexei began to gradually transfer assets to his personal accounts and the accounts of trustees. He also withdrew large amounts of cash and invested it in assets that are difficult to track, such as securities or cryptocurrencies. This helped him protect part of his assets from division. Alexei carefully documented all family expenses, especially those that concerned Maria. He collected checks, bank statements, and other evidence of her extravagance. This helped him argue in court that Maria was not able to manage her finances wisely. When the divorce proceedings were launched, Alexei froze joint accounts and credit cards so that Maria could not withdraw large sums of money or take out new loans. This forced her to seek financial support from lawyers, which further increased her costs. In court, Alexei's lawyers insisted on minimal alimony for Maria, arguing that she was unfaithful and incapable of being a good mother. They also ensured that the children remained with Alexei, which allowed him to receive alimony from Maria. Alexei contacted the creditors and notified them of the upcoming divorce, asking them not to issue new loans to Maria or increase the limits on her credit cards. This limited her financial options and forced her to consider the consequences of her actions. After completing all these steps, Maria was left with virtually no means of livelihood. Her financial independence was destroyed, and she was forced to start life from scratch without the support and comfort level she was accustomed to. The story of Alexei and Maria illustrates important lessons about trust, honesty, and the consequences of our actions. Honesty and openness. Any relationship, be it marriage or friendship, should be based on honesty and openness. Lying and betrayal inevitably lead to the destruction of trust and can have serious consequences. Consequences of infidelity. Infidelity in marriage is not just a violation of fidelity, but also a blow to the emotional and financial stability of the family. It can destroy not only relationships, but also the lives of all participants. Thoughtful actions. Alexei showed that it is important to act thoughtfully and calmly in difficult situations. Haste and rash actions can lead to even bigger problems. The importance of support from family and friends. In difficult times, the support of family and friends may not be enough if the relationship is damaged by betrayal. This emphasizes the importance of caring for your loved ones and their trust. The cost of revenge. Revenge may bring temporary satisfaction, but it rarely leads to long-term happiness. Alexei took revenge on Maria, but this did not relieve him of pain and disappointment. It is important to remember that forgiveness and striving for a better future can be more constructive paths. History reminds us that our actions have consequences, and that it is important to make decisions based on kindness, honesty, and respect for others.